Hello, Accelerated Math 7-8 students. Module 11, Lesson 14 is what we're starting right now, and it's called Understanding Three-Dimensional Figures. Understanding Three-Dimensional Figures, and here are our notes for this. Okay, so understanding three-dimensional figures. Our goal for today. Today, we will learn how to build three-dimensional figures from cubes, focusing on the horizontal slicing planes. Okay? The question, when using grid paper to build three-dimensional figures, what view is used to account for the total cubes? How do you know? Now, this, kiddos, is kind of a gigantic switch from what we've been doing, because what we've been doing is actually working on three-dimensional figures and actually slicing them and seeing what the face shapes would be from the slice. And today what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to use unit cubes to build a figure from the top view or the side view or the bottom view. It depends on what the directions tell you. But an example of this that we want to talk about right now is if you were a bird flying over this house, what would the house look like if you were flying above it? Now you have to remember, if you're in a bird's eye view, all you're able to do is see straight down. And something else that you need to keep in mind is you don't always get to see dimensions, because when you're directly above something, you can't tell if there's a slant or not, because you are technically only seeing things from a two-dimensional position if you're looking at it. So if we're flying above this house, not in front of the house like what we can see it, because this is the front view, we're actually flying above it because we're a bird. What would the house look like if you were flying above it? Would it look like this? Okay, and if you are agreeing, then you're right, because envision you're the bird up above the house looking straight down. There's the apex of the roof right there in the middle, and there's the slant of this side and the slant of this side, and that's all you can see if it's a house that looks like that. Okay, does everybody understand the view and where we're seeing it from? Okay, so let's keep going. Today, what our focus is going to be is horizontal slicing planes allow geometry students to see the layers of the slices that make up three-dimensional figures. So remember a long time ago when we were talking about the post-it notes. And if you have one post-it note, it's one slice and it's only 2D. But if you start stacking them on top of each other, soon you go from a 2D figure to a 3D figure because you're adding a third dimension. Well, this is what we need to be thinking about when we're talking about horizontal slicing planes, because what it does is it allows you to see the different layers. So again, this dot right here is telling us that you're looking at this three-dimensional figure from the front. Okay, and so if we're looking at it from the front, we can see the front of both of them and the tops of all three, and we can also see this right side because we have depth in our eyes. What I would like you to tell me is, what does it look like from above? So if you're the bird looking down on it, what would the bird see? And so your job in this lesson, kiddos, is to draw exactly that. So from this end right here, we know that this is a two-layered figure, right? It has two layers. It has a bottom layer and it has a top layer. So, but if we're a bird who's flying directly above it, like we were the house, what would you see? And remember, when you're flying above and looking straight down, do you have the ability to see dimensions? We talked about that a little bit. So for me, what I'm thinking what it will look like from above is it will look something like this. How many of you agree? If I was a bird flying above this figure, it doesn't have any depth, right? Then I know that that little shape that I have sitting in front of me would look like this from above. Okay? And so what this does, that's really cool about these horizontal slicing planes, is it allows us to see depth. Okay? And so it says horizontal slicing planes show the different layers of the three-dimensional figure in order to build it correctly. And so we know that the top view would look like this. If we were looking at it from the right side, the end, what would our view look like? I'm thinking that our view would look something like this from the right side. And it would also look like that from the left side. Okay? What does it look like just from the front? Well, just from the front, it would look like this. Okay? And so if we take all of these pieces and we put them together, then we can make the 3D figure that it was built by. Okay? I really, really, really enjoy this lesson. It gets hard. It gets very tricky. And you have to be really creative in what you're thinking and how to figure out what the different levels are and how they work to make the three-dimensional figure. Okay? So that's all that I have in the notes for this time. What the lesson is actually going to have you do is it's going to give you a figure, and you're going to have to draw the different views that you see it from the different perspectives. Okay, so today we will learn how to build 3D figures from cubes, focusing on the horizontal slicing planes. Remember, the horizontal slicing planes just tell you what level you're working on. Okay, when using grid paper to build 3D figures, what view is used to account for the total cubes? How do you know? What view? Well, my thoughts on the view that would help you figure out the total number of cubes that you need would probably be the front view. That would be what I would guess. Okay? So you think about it yourself, and then we'll talk about it some more in class. And that's all I have for you today. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.